Hey guys, I wanted to talk about a really important topic, mainly affection and how dogs are able to use it in a highly manipulative way. There's all sorts of levels of manipulation when it comes to dogs. The reason I'm shooting this video, what makes me think of it is our little dog Winnie, and then also not our dog, the little dog Winnie we have here, and also Byron that was just here that went home, the German Shepherd mix. There's all different levels of manipulation when it comes to affection, from normal to bratty to habit, to where it's just habit. It's been nurtured for so long. And then a level of stress if they don't have what they want and what they're used to getting. So let me put it to you this way. This is why we really stress the structure and the no to low affection when the dogs go back home, or they will not be successful as far as their rehabilitation or management, depending on how bad the issues are. So I'm going to start talking about Winnie. So Winnie's gotten really sweet with all of us. She's gotten much more relaxed. We've really held off on affection with her. For a week there was none. We tried to use voice tone and things like that, and movement to build motivation out of her, and played around with that. So we've started giving her a little bit of affection, and she's taking food now really consistently and doing really well. The other morning, I let her crawl in my lap when I put her gear on first thing in the morning before I worked with her, and which just means in the mornings, a lot of times with Winnie, we'll just take her out to potty, do a little bit of patterning, and then she stays in place for a little while until it's her turn to walk, because she's gotten so good at staying in place with very little management. So I let her curl up in my lap just while I put her gear on. I didn't hold her. I didn't coddle her. I didn't love her. I didn't tell her how adorable she was. I didn't even do any of that. I just let her curl up in my lap, which she was very happy about. So I take her out to pee, and then I go to pattern her, which she's great at, and she gave me a lot of trouble. She didn't want to go to her bed. She'd lay next to the bed. When I would say no, and we'd play around with e-collar levels and correction levels, get to your bed, because she knows what I'm asking, she would roll over and show me her belly, wanting to get control of the situation. So because I gave in and gave her that leverage, she got leverage over me, and it hurt the training. Now, it also gave me an opportunity to work through some attitude that we hadn't seen before. Before, any resistance that we got from her was anxiety-based, not attitude-based. There was serious attitude. She was like, I'm not going to do it. And then she actually got defiant about it. She was like, I'm going to lay here, really obviously. I'm going to lay with my front part off the mat. What are you going to do about that? You're going to make me go back because you cuddled me this morning? I mean, that's what it creates. When we love and love and love our dogs, we have no influence over their behavior. None. So she felt like she had a one-up on me. Now, that's not because of our relationship, because our relationship isn't built on that. That's because of her relationship with her family and with the people, with the people in the family, and being loved on and being coddled and being held and comforted constantly. So she was like, oh, so what it did is it just made her slide back several steps, because she thought that she could do the same thing to me and try to get away with it. It just put her mind back there, that association, that habit, because that's what it is. That's all it is. It's habit, right? And then ever since that one session, I didn't put up with it. I didn't give up. We kept doing it. No belly rubs. She stopped pulling that with me. And now I've even given her a few belly rubs, and we've been doing affection, and she hasn't tried that with me again. She hasn't tried that extreme level of manipulation and, make me do it kind of attitude again, because she tried it and it didn't work. Now she'll probably try again at some point, I have no doubt, because she's going to start getting more freedom and things like that. She's already had a couple of bouts of free time with the dogs. As we give more freedom, that happens as well. The dogs get a little entitled. They've got some freedom, so they try to push boundaries more. So I'm going to see more of it. But but it was just such an amazing, stark difference in the way she was acting than all the previous, week and a half. It was like a completely different dog all of a sudden. And then that leads me to Byron. Byron is a dog that he's 8 years of being spoiled rotten, 6 of those years anyway. And what we saw with him is that it went to a whole nother level. And this could happen with Winnie. I see it happening with Winnie. Is that Byron would actually get stressed out if he asked for affection and you didn't give it to him. Like really visible stress. It was really sad. It was really sad. He had to be corrected very, very high for not doing basic commands that he knew whenever he would ask to be pet by people that he knew. And how he had a very specific way that he would go about asking for affection. And when he didn't get it, he was confused and he couldn't listen. He was like, no, I'm going to get affection. And then he'd be corrected and he still wouldn't do basic stuff. And then finally, when we would, the owners and there's a neighbor and stuff like that, like when we would get him to do his thing, he would get up constantly, and we would see like a lot of this type of stuff out of him, and it would actually stress him out. Like it was hard for him to not constantly get what he's been getting every time he asks for it for X amount of years. Okay. So and he would do that with every new person he saw. Every new person he met, it was very difficult to control his behavior because he wanted to be pet. That was his routine for 6 years. Now, there's nothing wrong with that with a dog that doesn't have any behavioral issues, but Byron has listening issues, okay? So you'll all be happy to know that Byron is doing very good back home. He's not gone after other dogs. She's got a good control of the walk. Her arm's no longer hurting when she walks him. The walks are going great. She's struggling inside with basic obedience commands that he has down pat. He knows what she's asking. He is trying to manipulate her. But the thing is, he's not being bratty about it. He's actually getting stressed that what he's done all these years isn't working. So that's impulse control that they're going to have to work on, and that will better him as a dog. That will make him more well-rounded, less nervous, because right now if he gets nervous or scared about sounds and stuff, it's very difficult. She can't really influence his behavior because their relationship is just built off of, isn't built on that. So that's why she has to be consistent inside as well as outside. That way he continues to be really good on walks and listen to her. Otherwise that will unravel very quickly and he'll go back to being very reactive. So anyway, I could really talk about affection and how it affects dogs positively and negatively for hours. I could do like a whole TV series on it. But that's just a little tidbit, guys. Your affection is valuable. It's valuable. So when you give it freely all the time, when you give your dog googly eyes, when you just look at your dog and you're just like, you're so cute, aw, that makes you so soft, makes you such a soft energy. So if you share, and your dog has, if your dog has behavioral issues, and you share that with your dog the majority of the time, you'll never be able to influence their behavior. Because every time they look at you, you're like, that's not a confident person that can influence another being or another animal's behavior. It's just not. So if your dog has nervous issues, they'll always be nervous. You'll never be able to help them with that, maybe with food a little bit, but you'll never really be able to get them over that hump. Aggression issues, forget about it. You're definitely not going to be able to. So it's very important, guys. Your affection is valuable. Use it wisely. No, it's just, your dogs need to earn it. They should not just get it all the time because they're cute. Because when you do that, that's when you start to get all these behavioral issues. That's when it starts to happen. Now, just a disclaimer, I shouldn't have to say this, but I'm not saying don't ever pet your dogs. Let me be very clear. I'm not saying don't ever pet your dogs. That's not what I'm saying. I am saying reward your dogs with affection, Depending on your dog's temperament, watch your affection levels in general. Some dogs cannot be coddled every day. They can't do it. It makes them a complete mess. Even if they don't have any behavioral issues, they can develop them if they're coddled a lot. That tends to be anxious, needier dogs. If you have a really confident, aloof, pretty balanced dog, you might be able to spoil them rotten and it not make that big of a difference. They do exist. I know that. I had a German Shepherd like that, so I do know that they do exist. But it's not very common. And for those of you out there that have behavioral issues with your dog, that's where you got to start. That's where you have to start. Because if you don't start there, everything else you're doing, you're just fighting in a toxic relationship, because that's what it is. That's what it is. All right, guys, so I hope this helps someone out there. And I know it's not fun to hear. Nobody likes to hear that they shouldn't be petting their dog so much or loving on their dog or anything like that, but it's really important. So I hope that helps. And if anybody has any questions about affection, feel free, as long as it's nice questions, feel free to put it down below. No hate mail.